$175,000 a year. My question to you is, how long do you think it would take you, just regular old you, to own multiple rental properties, sell some real estate, get your little capital gains, and have a spouse who is pulling in 6 to 7 figures while working in the same political ecosystem that you just so happen to legislate over? How long? Like, how long do you think it would take you to do all that? Yeah, that's what I thought. That math ain't mathing. Like, you came to the same conclusion, like, 175 a year, it's kind of hard, right? Well, I want to talk about it because there's some baseline things that we need to get straight. So the first thing is, a rank and file member of Congress earns about $174,000, $175,000 a year. That is like the baseline salary. Now, to the average American, that is a pretty good salary. You know, some of us are just grateful to hit 100,000, let alone 175. You can live good off of that. It is a good salary. No one's going to argue that. Now, me personally, I think that's too much for Congress members to get paid, but that's my opinion. But if you're making $175,000 a year, you're not crying poverty. You're not poor. However, $175,000 a year is not giving multiple rental property money. It ain't that kind of money. It's not Martha's Vineyard property money. It is not my spouse is suddenly thriving in government adjacent consulting money. It's not giving any of that unless you have access. And what I am learning, the more I cover politics, access is where the real money lives. I have learned that personally. So it appears that America and Americans are finally waking up to the political hustle, right? These politicians are not usually getting rich from their congressional salary. They don't make enough. It's not possible. But they are getting rich by having proximity to power and information access. They're also getting rich through influence without their little grubby little fingerprints being all over it. And then the spouse. The spouse is the common thread with all these politicians. Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar, Nancy Pelosi, right? When I talk about the spousal insulation, where they're insulated by way of their spouse, meaning they don't sign the check, they don't get the contract directly, it's not in their name, they don't list the asset in their own name. Somebody else does. And guess who the somebody else is? It just so happens to be their spouse or your brother if you're Ilhan. Well, no, not that brother. The white guy's not a brother, but you know what I mean. But usually it's the spouse or a very close business partner, the consulting firm, some development group. Hear me clearly. All of this is totally legal. And it's ethical on paper. But what I want to talk about tonight is how it's the hustle and why you have so many people who are itching to be in politics. So let's examine the case study pattern. I want to talk about patterns, not personalities. Granted, I don't like Ilhan Omar or the bald-headed orangutan Ayanna Pressley. I don't like them. I don't like their worldview. I don't like their political posturing. I don't like anything about them. However, my issues with them are ideological and political policy. So, for example, the anti-capitalistic rhetoric that comes from both of them. They love talking about taxing the rich, right? Always talking about the oligarchy and their hostility, especially not Ilhan, Ayanna. She has exhibited hostility toward landlords, right? She has supported this cancel rent legislation, which is wild to me. However, public record wise, this woman has residential rental properties of her own. She's got real estate transactions where she's realized capital gains. And then the spouse. Her spouse gets income from consulting, and those are the business activities that are fueling the income. And for someone that got into office in 2018, her assets and liabilities, when they were disclosed, just went through the roof, right? They're in the high value range now. I'm not making an accusation. I'm just contrasting how you go from broke in 2018 to with like a net worth of 12 grand to all of a sudden it's now in the millions. The same is true with Ilhan Omar. So I think I lost my clips, but I'm going to try to find them again. I'm gonna just look through my history. I think I got them. Here we go. I found one of them. Let me bring it over here. I didn't say play. What? You know what? I think I have this to automatically play when I open up the window. I do. So let's watch this clip, you guys.
Well, this is a Fox News alert. It looks like Ilhan Omar isn't the only Millionaire squad member. Now, our team dug into open secrets and financial disclosure reports. What we found is that when Ayanna Pressley was elected to Congress back in 2018, she had a negative net worth. You fast forward to today, she's worth $1.3 million with assets worth up to $8 million. Now, that's a massive increase in just 6 years, especially for someone on a $174,000 congressional salary. It's impressive, really. But how did she do it? Well, part of its property in 2024, Pressley reported owning a Martha's Vineyard rental worth up to $5 million, as well as multiple Boston rentals worth up to $1 million each. Now, for context, back in 2019, she only reported owning one property in Boston. We're also learning days before Pressley was sworn into Congress, her husband quit his $92,000 annual Boston City Hall job to start his own consulting firm called Conan Harris and Associates. And as we read more of the Congresswoman's financial disclosure reports, we learn that her husband also saw his income jump while he was in Washington. His client list consists of some government organizations, including one with deep ties to the Obama Foundation. But as he started his firm and seeked new clients, he faced ethics concerns because of Pressley's job in Congress. Quote, as Harris's days dwindled in the city's Office of Public Safety, he used his city-issued email account to pitch Walsh's chief of staff on staying on as a consultant. City officials say they did not solicit nor accept the offer, and state ethics laws bar municipal employees from knowingly using official resources for personal gain. Now, we asked Pressley for comment, and we even invited her on. She did not answer, but Fox Business anchor David Asman joins me now. He's been looking over this information. And David, there's nothing wrong with gaining financial resources. We see this a lot in Congress, but there are questions.
Well, and you go back to the 1930s, the last when movies began. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I mean, it's happened for a long time. It happens in both the right and left. But what's so rich is that this is coming from anti-capitalist squad members.
Yes.
People who spent their life denigrating our capitalist system and saying how bad it was. In fact, Congresswoman Pressley came out with an ex-post just a year ago. She and her fellow squad members, of course, constantly condemn capitalism, but she says Donald Trump and Musk want big banks and bad actors to run rampant and take people for a ride. They want to pillage the government and make themselves rich. Well, she's the one who's been pillaging the government.
Isn't it funny, though? Didn't I tell y'all? The left, they are the biggest projectors and gaslighters. If they make a statement and accuse you of doing something, it's because they're pros at it and they've done it. They're already doing it. Elon Musk doesn't want anything from the American people. He's not trying to pillage us. If anything, Elon has added value as a legal immigrant in this country, and we're very grateful for his contributions. Notice how she claims that they want the big banks. Where did I put it? They want the big banks and bad actors to run rampant and to take people for a ride because they want to pillage the government and make themselves rich. And we're like, ma'am, are you listening to yourself? Do you have any self-awareness at all? No, they don't have any self-awareness. So let's let Lil Buddy finish.
Squad members, of course, constantly condemn capitalism, but she says Donald Trump and Musk want big banks and bad actors to run rampant and take people for a ride. They want to pillage the government and make themselves rich. Well, she's the one who's been pillaging the government. Now, again, we're not suggesting she's going in and stealing funds or anything like that, but the fact that she got rich off of her contacts in government, her husband got rich consulting with members of the business community and others, perhaps some people who were taking grants. That's, by the way, we saw that with Lee Zeldin, the EPA commissioner. When he came in, he found out that right before Biden left office in December of 2024, he was spending billions of dollars. A lot of that money was going directly to friends, to acquaintances within the Democratic community that learned how to go in and write grants that would get accepted, making millions and millions of dollars, each one of them. So this has been going on for a while. I should mention that Pressley's kind of a poor gal next to her friend Ilhan Omar, because Ilhan Omar is worth up to $30 million right now, and she went from basically a flat negative, if not negative point when she came into Congress.
Well, Ilhan's 30 million because she got the Somali fraud. In addition to her winery situation with the husband, she has got the Somali apparatus in Minnesota. That whole fraudulent situation, she's absolutely benefiting from that, in my opinion. So, 30 million in contrast to Ayanna Pressley's jump in net worth, it's nowhere near on the same playing field. Ayanna ain't doing it right. Something she doing wrong. Okay, she ain't grifting enough. You know what I'm saying? Let me let them finish some more, and then we're gonna cook.
She also has a husband who's a consultant. He was working with progressive leftists who, again, have this anti-capitalist creed, which they live and die by. But apparently, it's very easy to condemn capitalism when you're making millions of dollars. And of course, we have to mention the grand dam of all this, which is Miss Pelosi, who's worth about $275 million, at least $275 million, with her husband Paul, he's a good investor, but she's come to him, I'm sure, with excellent inside information that we're not allowed to trade on, but members of Congress still do. And there are certain trades that she and her husband made that clearly were based on information she was getting about credit card companies that were going to have a particular advantage that other companies didn't have. So this has got to stop. We've tried to stop it time and time again. Again, going back decades and decades, it never seems to work properly. Schweizer has done his best to try to come out with revealing stuff, but we're going to continue to investigate. And
poor Kaylee, she trying to get a word in. He going in, ain't it? That old dude was just like, let me tell you something, okay? Here's the deal. These lawmakers, this is the formula. This is the pattern. They are public socialists, but they are private capitalists. They will condemn the system, talk about how they about to be Robin Hood, steal from the rich to give to the poor, but they don't steal from themselves. They quietly benefit from this system that they claim, this oligarchy, the bureaucratic overlords with all the money, they benefit from it. So I want to talk about why the spouses matter, because this is the part that they never want discussed. The spouses, you guys, are used as the firewall, right? So the politician votes, the spouse consults. I saw somebody say in the live chat that consulting is big business. And what they do is it's the equivalent, Christian said, of buying art. Charge whatever the inflated price you want to cover up your legal actions, right? The politician votes, the spouse functions as the consultant, the politician is the public facing person that's grandstanding, and the spouse is in the back doing all the networking. And while that's happening, the politician denounces owning anything. I'm just poor, just like you. I have no wealth. I have no money. They constantly decry against the asset owners while their spouses are the ones participating in the asset adjacent industries. And so I find it interesting because when these politicians actually file their disclosures, the wealth just shows up, right? So just wealth accumulation that somehow outpaces your paycheck. Do they think that we're stupid? I think they do. Clearly, this is the cheat code. They exhibit this public righteousness with private enrichment. We saw Letitia James do the same thing. To me, this is about credibility. If you're going to build, don't be stupid. If you're going to build your brand, demonizing wealth and attacking ownership and shaming success and condemning the capitalistic system, but yet you're quietly living a capitalistic lifestyle, you don't have any moral authority. This is why I know the socialism we're already seeing in New York, how it is falling apart, and it's not going to work because it's always the elite, the Bernie Sanders of the world, the Zohran Mamdanis that are like, we just got to tax the rich. Until what happens when you run out of rich people money? Are you going to give up yours? No. They do this for the optics of it all, but they're all scammers. They are a bunch of scammers, and the American people, we are done being lectured by these people who play one game in the public square and another one in private. They're fake. So the question isn't, well, is this legal? Can they really do it? The question is it honest? Don't lecture me about the oligarchy and the rich when you're the rich. We don't believe you. Hear me clearly. I'm a capitalist. I want nothing more than for people to view America as this land of opportunity where you can start at the bottom of the ladder and climb up to any rung that you want based on your own effort and merit. Sweat of your brow, toiling, work from your own hands. The issue I have is being lectured by people who want to take what's mine, right? Let me keep what I've earned. Let me keep what I have. Stay out my pocket. I don't want to be pillaged so that I can take care of people who want to sit back and enjoy the wicked, godless policies that you implement, saying, well, we're just going to take the taxpayer money and we're going to redistribute the wealth. No, I don't want the economy to be incentivized by people who are looking for the rest of us to take care of them. Just keep your paws off my guns and keep your hand out my pocket. It's real simple for me. Like, I am one of those Americans. I ain't asking for much. I don't want a government program. I don't want a government program. I want you to leave me the heck alone. Get out of my way. Like I said, keep your paws off my guns. Don't touch my guns because I need them in case I got to get froggy and pull one out and deal with you, Uncle Charlie, Mr. Government. And two, give me my money. Or should I just say, keep your hands off of my money, right? I want to educate my children the way I see fit using my money. I don't want you, the government is not a good steward. I don't want them collecting the taxes and then they're going to pool the money together and be in charge of the educational system. I don't want you educating my kids. That's not going to happen. And I don't want to pay to educate somebody else's kid either. Call me selfish. Call me what you want. But America used to be the place where you can generate wealth when there wasn't so much government overreach and the federalization of every single little thing. Plenty of us out here know and desire to function in our freedom. We don't need you to tell us how it's done. We were doing it just fine before you got all involved. And this is the difference between the left and the right. The left are a bunch of masters looking for slaves. And people who vote on the left are ideological slaves looking for masters. They need to be told, govern us, lead us. How you gonna fix our problems? Where us on the right are like, listen, I'm a whole grown functioning adult. I don't need you to tell me how to live my life. I just need you to make sure the trains run on time and to keep the roads paved. Just some simple basic stuff. We can have some police and fire and services like that. But outside of that, I'm definitely not looking for you to protect me, okay? I can handle my own with the Second Amendment, right? Let me worship my God in peace, but keep your paws off my guns and your hands out my pocket. I just wrapped up conservatism in one quick, that's it. That's, for me, what it means to be a conservative. You can't be a conservative. What are you conserving if you're always asking the government to give you stuff? I want less government. I say no government, just less government. And the best way to do that is to get these politicians to be held accountable for the conflict of interest and how I'm telling you, it's almost like it's a playbook. They've all gamed the system by saying some of these marriages, I think, are just marriages of convenience. It is a business arrangement. I marry you. You're the consultant. I will use my influence on Capitol Hill to make sure that I get us this contract, get us access to this and this business deal, this USAID money, this NGO. The money comes to you. I control everything but own nothing. That's how it's being done. And I think it's wrong because the moment you were off on your tax return by $250, they ready to come garnish your wages, put a lien on your bank account. I mean, that's what you see. Rules for thee, but not for me.